What's up, guys? So on today's video, I'm going to do something I have not done in probably a couple of years, and that's give a garage update. So I had somebody in the comments on one of my previous videos ask for this. So I'm going to go through one by one each of the cars in my garage, give you guys the background and any updates that I have. I'll talk about any future plans I might have for the car. Like I said, it's been a couple years since I did an update video on the garage tour. So I think a lot of people assume that I've held on to all these vehicles that I bought, but actually, usually I just keep two. You can see in the garage. We've got three now, making a special exception for the Porsche, and I'll talk about that later. Pretty much whenever I'm buying a new vehicle, I'm trading one in. I'm not keeping all these cars. I don't have some massive warehouse to put these all in. I wish I did, but we're not there just yet. Yeah, we'll go through each car one by one and talk about each one, and let's start with the M4. So this beauty is my 2024 BMW M4 X5M Competition. I bought this back in, I believe it was August, so I've had this a little over 3 months now. Put just about 2,000 miles on it. The color is Toronto red, and I'm in love with the color. It's awesome because in the garage it looks like a very deep red, but then you get it out in the sun, it has a little bit of an orange tint to it. Carbon fiber interior, Silverstone leather. So if you watched the channel previously, you also know I also owned a G80 M3 for about 6 months. My only regret between those two cars is that I've had a G80, a G82, and still have not got the carbon bucket seats, which to me that's kind of the big feature that makes the M3 and the M4 the current generation, is that those cool carbon fiber bucket seats. I feel like in the M4 it's a little bit wasted. To see the carbon fiber part, you actually have to open the door and fold them forward to actually see the back of it. In the M3 you just open the back door and you get the full view of the carbon fibers. In the M4 it's a little bit of waste, but man, I would love at some point to get a G80 M3 with the carbon fiber bucket seats. So I love just about everything about this car. The one downside I'd say is it being a coupe, especially with kids, is a little bit of a downside versus the M3 where you don't get the extra practicality. So I do have a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. The 6-year-old just gets himself in the back, which is nice and handy. I do have to kind of heave the 2-year-old back into his seat and buckle him in, which is a little bit of a pain, but so far I've been able to make it work. I'd say that's maybe the one downside I've had with this, just when we do try and haul the kids around in this. But yeah, very minor complaints so far. I'd say I do love this car. My plan is to have this probably through the middle of next year. So plan was to own this about a year. I've ordered something to replace it. It won't get built until probably, my guess would be sometime between March and May of next year. So there will be a replacement coming for this next year, but in the meantime, we'll get to enjoy it. So after having this M4 for a few months now, you know, I can say between this and my M3, probably been two of my favorite vehicles that I've owned all time. I've done a bunch of videos about how much I love the G80 and G82 platforms. I mean, to me, it's the perfect mix of you know, performance and also something you can drive every day. I'll put a couple thousand miles on this one. Like I said, I'll have this one for probably at least 6 more months, so get quite a bit of time to enjoy this. Silverstone seats, I know everybody's worried about getting those dirty. No issues with that yet. I don't put my kids in this a ton, but they have done a fair amount of riding back, and seats still look good as new. Just wipe them down with interior cleaner every once in a while. I just have to say that I love driving this vehicle. If I'm having a stressful day or something, I'll take this out for a cruise and I will feel 10 times better by the time I'm done. It's a great all-around vehicle, and you know, at the same time, a lot of fun. So that's gonna do it. That's a wrap for the M4. Let's jump straight to the X5M. Next up is this beast, and that is my 2024 X5M Competition. So I've had this for coming up on the 2-month mark now, put about 1,500 miles on it. I just had the break-in service done last week. Best way I can describe this thing is just it's raw, brutal power. I mean, you're talking 617 horsepower. Something this big should not be this fast, but it just kind of blows the mind how quick this thing is. So I'd have to say this is maybe not my overall favorite car I've owned all time, but as a package, probably the best, you know, overall package I've owned of all time, because this thing is brutally fast. It's fun to drive. It doesn't drive like an SUV at all. But at the same time, this is primarily our family vehicle. The 2023 that I owned before this, we put, I think it was about 14,000 miles on that within a year. We took it on road trips. We take our kids everywhere with it. They're perfectly comfortable. We're perfectly comfortable. It has all the really nice luxury touches, but at the same time, the reason you buy this is underneath, it's a performance beast. You know, if you took this out on the track, I'm sure you're gonna have no problem keeping up with 911s and pretty much everything that's out there. Only mod I've done to this one, I did have the dealership put on 20% window tint. That's the only thing I've done besides I've gone through and done a ceramic coat myself. So yeah, as far as colors, Dravit Gray, probably one of my favorite colors of all time that BMW's done. It just looks so good. It's, you know, out of the sunlight, it's almost black. In the sunlight, you get that nice gold flake. So loving that Silverstone interior, full leather in there, carbon fiber interior. It also has Alcantara, the suede on the headliner, which is a really nice touch. Makes it just feel a little bit more premium. As far as plans for getting rid of this vehicle, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. I would say that if BMW hadn't come out with the facelift on the 2024, I would still have the 2023. But because this was such an improvement, I'm glad we went ahead and upgraded. I guess my original plan was not to get to 2023 and wait to see if they facelifted it in 2024, but our dealership ended up making us a really good offer on they had somebody back out of the order, the one we ended up buying. They offered it to us at invoice, so we got a really good deal on it. That's the reason we bought that one, and that's the reason I could justify buying another one a year later. So as far as downsides, and I wouldn't say these are even really downsides, these are really nitpicky. Some of the sound stuff, so my relatives always make a comment about this, and usually they're just giving me a hard time, but when you start it up in idles, it does sound just a little bit like a tractor. Like when you're driving it, it sounds fantastic, but while it's idling, it does sound a little bit like a tractor. The other thing with the sound is after you've driven this thing for a while, this thing has like a heavy duty cooling fan. After you stopped after driving for a while, and you know, in the garage, it kind of amplifies this. The cooling fan runs so loud that it sounds like it's still on. I've gone to several family events and stuff where I've parked it and somebody will come inside and be like, hey, you left your car on. It's extremely loud. If you're sitting there with it in the garage running, like you can barely hear yourself think. That's, you know, minor stuff. I'm being really nitpicky even to find something like that to complain about, but that would be the one thing I would mention on that front. You know, for a big car, this handles pretty excellently, I would say. In my opinion, this is the best like super SUV you can get. I know a lot of people say the RSQA, but I guess I'm not as big a fan of Audi. I guarantee it's one of the fastest grocery getters you're going to find. Handles so well. The accelerations are just brutal. Throw you back in your seat. You know, just everything about this car feels great. So at the same time you're smoking these little supercars, you can be getting a back massage from your massage sheets and cooling your drink in the cooled cup holders. So to me, it's like, as a package, like BMW just knocked it out of the park with this thing. It's such a great, just overall vehicle. There's so many, you know, little cool things it offers, and I didn't even mention one of my favorite things about it is the split tailgate, and that's really handy for groceries and stuff. So if you're unloading, like my driveway is kind of pretty far downhill like this. You know, if you're unloading, you got a watermelon or something there, pretty easily roll out of the back there if you don't have that little lip to catch it. So extra nice touch there. That's a wrap for the X5M. Let's move on to the last vehicle in the garage, and probably the one you guys are least familiar with, and that is my 2006 Porsche Boxster. And finally, that brings us to my 2006 Porsche Boxster. I bought this about the same time I bought the X5M, so I've had it just about 2 months now. I actually bought this off of my dad. He bought this back in 2008. I believe it had about 10,000 miles on it at the time he bought it, so it was about 2 years old. Now at almost 17 years old, it's only got, I think it's a little over 40,000 miles. I just took it to the Porsche dealership, did a full service on it. The only issue they found is there's some plastic pieces like hanging off the bottom that they're going to get some replacement parts for. Also, the header on the engine had a little bit of an exhaust leak because some of the nuts had rusted off. So waiting on some parts to get that fixed. Also the tires. The rear ones I think are from 2012. The fronts are from 2008. So definitely need to get those replaced. Have replacements ordered and on the way. They still look decent, but I can definitely tell they need to be replaced because I came into a turn a little hot the other day and I could feel the back end just kind of slide out from under me. So definitely need to get some replacements on there. So what I love most about this car is it is a manual, a 5-speed manual. I think the horsepower number, it's not massive. It's a flat 6, 240 horsepower. So it's not going to blow you away with horsepower numbers, but just the raw feel of this mid-engine car with the 5-speed manual, taking it on the road and just rolling through the gears and hearing the engine kind of right behind you. It's just such a fun experience. It also has the soft top, so on nice days you can take that down. So I put quite a bit of time into detailing this car. I went through and did a full wash, and that helped it out a lot. So this has been sitting in a shed for several years. My dad had a hip replacement done a few years ago, and I don't think he's driven it much since then because the car does sit very low, so he had a tough time getting in and out. That's why he was wanting to sell it to me and gave me a great deal on the car. So overall, the paint looks good. I went through and polished everything, and the only real issue it has with the paint is there are several rock chips. So I grew up out on a farm, so this actually spent most of its life garaged on gravel roads. So that's where all the paint chips come in from, all those little rocks and stuff. But other than, as I mentioned, the tires and the exhaust leak, no other issues with the car. For the age of the car, it's in fantastic shape. I mean, it's 40,000 miles, so shouldn't be any real major problems with it. But yeah, this is a car I'm guessing most of you on the channel are probably the least familiar with because I've only made one video and it did not get any views. This car is so much fun to drive. Like I said, it's pretty raw. It's so good. It's so fun to just kind of roll through the gears. Makes you feel very connected to the car. It doesn't have, this was in 06, there was no backup cameras, no lane keep assist, all that extra technology crap does not exist on this one, so it's kind of nice to have something, like I said, this is just a really just raw experience. I've admired this car for a long time, as long as my dad's owned it. It's a lot of fun to drive. Like I said, really unsure of future plans on this car. I do love it. My only gripe is a little issue with my height in this car. Apparently in 2006 they were not making these for 6'5" people. So, okay, if you look, headroom is great. Even with the top up, I've still got another couple inches here. The main problem is knee room. So I've got a little bit of room, but my knees are pretty much in the steering wheel, which, as you would guess, might make things a little bit dangerous. So we'll see how long I can put up with that. But for now, enjoying this car. And as I said, this was the final stop on the garage tour. Any other cars I didn't mention, I no longer own. I probably traded. So if you're wondering what happened to some of the cars, they got traded. And as I said, I haven't always kept up with making videos, so I haven't always been good at announcing when something's coming or going. So there was a long period of time where after we had our second kid, I did not do a good job of consistently making videos. So there was a long period of time where I was not, announcing things were coming and going. So these three cars I talked about, these are the current cars in the garage. Like I said, a little bit of change to come next year, but nothing too drastic. Yeah, but that's going to wrap things up for the garage tour video. As always, appreciate you guys watching and following along, and I will catch you in the next one.